People rarely tell you when they stop taking you seriously. There is no announcement, no obvious confrontation, but something changes. The tone shifts slightly. Your words carry less weight. People interrupt you more easily. Your opinions receive polite acknowledgement, but little attention. It can happen in a workplace, inside a relationship, even among close friends. And the strange part is this: most of the time, nothing dramatic happened. Respect didn't disappear because of one moment. It faded because of a pattern. Small signals, repeated quietly. Over time, those signals begin to reshape how others position you socially. And once that shift happens, people rarely notice the exact moment it began, but they feel the result. To understand why this happens, you have to understand something important about respect. It is not just emotional, it is structural. Many people assume respect is based on personality. They think it comes from confidence, intelligence, or charisma. But in most social environments, respect is not assigned that way. It is inferred from patterns of behavior. People watch how you respond to pressure, how predictable your reactions are, how easily your position shifts when tension appears. They are not consciously analyzing these signals, but they are constantly registering them. Respect tends to follow one quiet rule. The more stable your behavior appears under pressure, the more seriously people tend to take you. When behavior becomes overly reactive or overly adjustable, something else happens. Your position becomes easier to predict, and predictability changes how people interact with you. The shift usually begins with small behavioral signals, not dramatic mistakes, just patterns. One common signal is over-explaining. When someone feels the need to justify every decision or clarify every statement, it often signals uncertainty about how their words will be received. Another signal is rapid emotional reaction. Immediate frustration, visible irritation, or defensive responses tell others something important. They reveal exactly which buttons trigger a response. A third signal is constant adjustment. When someone quickly modifies their opinions, tone, or position to match whoever they are speaking to, it suggests their position is flexible. None of these behaviors are necessarily harmful on their own, but when they repeat frequently, they form a pattern, and patterns shape perception. Social dynamics are strongly influenced by predictability. When people know exactly how you will react, they gain a certain form of leverage. For example, if someone learns that mild criticism will always trigger a defensive explanation, they know exactly how to steer the interaction. If they sense that silence makes you uncomfortable, they can use silence to pressure you. This doesn't mean people are consciously manipulating others all the time. Often, it happens unconsciously. But predictable reactions change the balance of interaction. The person who reacts first tends to lose positional control. The person who remains stable usually retains it. This is why emotional predictability quietly lowers perceived status, not because emotion is wrong, but because predictable reactions create openings others can anticipate. Another reason respect shifts has to do with something psychologists call emotional leakage. People often say one thing while their body signals something else. Someone might say, "It's not a problem," but their tone tightens, their posture stiffens, their words come faster than usual. Even subtle signals like this can change how a message is interpreted. Human perception tends to trust physiological signals more than verbal ones. If someone appears calm and regulated, their words feel more credible. If tension leaks through their behavior, their position feels less stable. This doesn't mean people consciously judge others harshly, but they do sense stability, and stability often translates into perceived authority. Once someone feels their position slipping, a common trap appears. They begin trying to repair the situation immediately. They clarify their intentions. They explain their reasoning again. They attempt to remove any possible misunderstanding. Ironically, this often accelerates the shift, because each additional explanation signals that the situation requires repair. And when someone appears eager to repair the interaction, their position becomes even more adjustable. A useful rule in social dynamics is simple. Stop explaining once the point is understood. Additional explanation rarely restores respect, but it often reveals how strongly someone wants approval. You can see this pattern in many everyday situations. At work, someone presents an idea in a meeting. A colleague challenges it. Instead of calmly reinforcing their point, the person begins explaining it from several different angles, trying to convince everyone. The more they explain, the more the room senses uncertainty. In dating or relationships, someone notices emotional distance. They immediately try to resolve it. They ask repeated questions, explain their intentions, and attempt to restore connection. But the urgency itself changes the dynamic. In friendships, someone reacts strongly to minor teasing. Over time, others learn exactly which reactions appear. What begins as a small emotional signal slowly becomes predictable, and predictability reshapes the interaction. None of these changes happen instantly. They accumulate gradually. Restoring respect rarely comes from a single strong moment. It usually comes from consistent behavioral patterns. People begin to adjust their perception when they repeatedly encounter the same stable response. Calm disagreement, measured responses, silence instead of over-explanation. Boundaries often emerge this way, not through confrontation, but through repetition. When someone consistently maintains their position without overreacting or over-adjusting, others begin to recognize a stable pattern. And once that pattern becomes familiar, the interaction changes. Respect tends to follow stability, not force. If you feel people have stopped taking you seriously, the solution is rarely dramatic. It usually begins with small adjustments. Speak clearly, but avoid unnecessary explanation. Allow silence to exist without rushing to fill it. Respond to tension with steadiness instead of urgency. Over time, these patterns signal something important. Your position is not easily moved. And when behavior becomes less predictable, people begin paying attention again. Because stability creates gravity in social dynamics, and gravity quietly reshapes the interaction. See the pattern, choose the response.